we realize the gravity of this opportunity in stadium. You only get 4 of these opportunities to state a case for yourself. We recognize that what they do in stadiums is weighted a little bit differently than what happens out here. That's just the nature of this evaluation process, and this preseason is about moving from 90 to 53.
Welcome to another Steelers Live. I'm Lyndsay Petruny. Earlier today, Coach Tomlin spoke to the media ahead of Thursday's preseason opener. More on that coming up, but first, let's head down to Tunch and Wolf. They're standing by on the field with a practice report, guys.
Thank you, Lyndsay. You know, Wolf, this past week, there's been mass hysteria, panic in the streets. AB was not in camp for 5 days. People were like going, Where is he? Rest assured, he is back, and he looks no worse from the wear. It's good to have AB back.
No question about it. We got to see him get back into groove a little bit. He had a smile on his face, did some individual, did what he needed to do, and that it's just good that he's back.
Yeah. Were you surprised at how people were panicking and there was panic in the streets?
Well, it's not something that we're used to seeing because AB has been really the Iron Man. He's been the guy that never comes off the field, who's got to be dragged off the field. The guy who Garrett Guimont and Marcel Pasteur, they shut down in the second half because of the season because he's overworking his legs. So that's the guy everyone was having this apocalyptic fit about.
Yeah.
And in fact, he's back. He's good.
He's back, yeah. A lot of things happened today in practice that caught my eye. Number one, Justin Hunter, who has really grasped the brass ring for that third receiver spot. I mean, he has shown up every day. Today, I don't know, 5 catches that were just smooth, fast, in and out of his cuts. You know, it's going to be fun to watch him play.
He ran that one crossing route and was right in front of us when we were standing there. And the power in which he started to turn up the field really kind of amazed me. I mean, it was like, wow, you're looking at world-class athleticism that's got the ball in the open field and it starts to turn up with power. It was interesting to watch. I'm interested in seeing how this rolls over into the preseason because there's so much promise, but I think a lot of Justin Hunter's career has been promised and has not been fulfilled yet.
Well, you know, Wolf, I think you made a great point. You could hear his strides. When you hear an athlete's strides, you know there's power. I'm going to say that I think he is going to surprise a lot, of people this year.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's the other guy that really impressed me today was Olya Dennehy. He was rushing up the field. You know, whether it was Chucky Okafor or other guys, he was getting the edge on the left offensive tackle, and I think that guy, he has shown that he can rush the passer, and boy, he's a great edge getter. You know what we're looking for from Bud? He's doing. He is shortening the edge. He's shaving it.
Well, there's no question that he is. He's an interesting-looking guy. He's very much, in my mind, like Keon Adams is in physique and in some of his rushing, although Keon's just got that uppercut. James Harrison turned the outer third of the man, like a turnstile. But I like what I see about Oglethorpe, as you like to call him. Again, we got to wait and see how this plays out during the season. One of the guys that caught my eye, again, was Matt Thomas. And he did a great job and when they had combination coverages where they were covering a tight end and a back, and he was out there, undercut a route on Xavier Grimble and snatched the pass. High point, great athleticism. I mean, for him to run, I mean, you got to be worried about how slender he is, though, to be playing that inside linebacker position, how much power and strength he's got to be able to disengage and get off blocks.
You know, he looks like he just looks like a football player. Doesn't look like an inside back or an outside back. He just looks like a football player. The other guy that really caught my eye is Kandra Henderson from Pitt. You know, the all-purpose back. He played receiver. He played running back. He returned punts. The all-purpose yards were off the charts at Pitt. I was watching him return punts today, and I saw not only the shiftiness, but the ability to get to the edge, to get to the picket fence, to get to the wall. And, you know, I'm curious to see how he does in a game this Thursday night.
I am. One of the things you notice about him, he stalks the ball. He gets himself quiet underneath. He doesn't have happy feet and start dancing around and stuff. And he's able to make and secure the catch. And now what I'm interested in seeing, really, number one is his decision-making process, and then does he secure the catch? And does he stay quiet underneath the ball and he's not all over the place? He
is like a center fielder.
Yes.
He does play it that way, very, very nonchalant. You know, this week, after Friday Night Lights, you had the great intensity there. Saturday was in shells. Sunday was Sunday showers.
Right.
Monday was off. Today, once again, was in shells. If I was playing,
I'd be nervous.
I would be nervous because I wouldn't feel like I've gotten enough work, and I wonder.
Luke, you know how that is.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to get a certain amount of work in
Right.
before you begin the official start of the season and before you begin the preseason.
Right.
And we never had to worry about it because we
Right.
always had massive amounts of work.
Right, yeah.
Actually, we had overwork.
Right.
But what I would think for a lot of these guys, for the young guys, there's got to be a feeling of a little unease because you're not quite sure based on how many reps you've gotten thus far in camp. Remember, there's no doubles. There's been a number of days off and reduced hitting abilities during practices with shells and so forth. So it's not like you've got a great quantitative number of reps in your tank there, but when you're going into the first game.
You know, I'm looking forward to seeing Mason Rudolph too.
Yeah.
You know, he's starting to elevate his game a little bit. You know, it was unspectacular, kind of the first few days.
Right.
You know, today we saw him make some nice throws. We saw a nice two ball.
Yes, I missed my cue there.
You missed your cue.
It's a two ball.
That's right. When Wolf found out what a two ball was, man, you couldn't get him quiet on that two ball.
It's just adding to my terminology.
Yeah. The two young inside linebackers, Matt Galambos and Keith Kelsey.
Yes.
The way those guys, you know, I'm excited to see those guys too. I mean, I think they play with great physicality. They play with speed. It's going to be interesting to watch those guys Thursday night.
I think both those guys bring something else to the game. They're going to be very much watched and separating themselves on the special teams. They've got to pay rent.
They have to separate themselves on special teams.
They've got to separate themselves on the special teams.
Yeah.
Another guy that I want and am looking at, and he's really intrigues me, is R.J. Printz, as they call him, the Fresh Prince of Carolina.
Yeah.
But this guy is big. He's strong, playing guard, playing tackle. He's one of these guys that makes you look and go, this guy's capable. I mean, he's thick-bodied, strong. Right away you notice he's got some very strong hands and he does tend to hold a little, which, you know, that in the brotherhood of hogs, we understand you got to have a little bit of hold in there.
Yeah, never intentional.
Never intentional.
Yeah. The other guy that's really been impressive to me this camp is L.J. Fort. He's really taken a step forward. He's playing very fast out there. You know, today I saw him make a great play in coverage in one of the drills. But he has great speed. Now, you didn't see it as much last year because he's still learning the game. I think you see his speed and his athleticism and his ability to get to the spot right now. Well, that's all we have time for. Back to you, Lyndsay.
Thanks, guys. Coming up after the break, Bob Labriola will join me to discuss Coach Tomlin's thoughts before the upcoming preseason game, and we'll have your Steelers Nation Unite keyword for the day. Stay tuned.
Steelers Family Fest, featuring a live team practice at Heinz Field on Sunday, August the 19th, starting at 5 p.m. Enjoy the Nickelodeon Worldwide Day of Play areas, as well as prize giveaways, alumni appearances, and Sembelli fireworks after practice. That's Steelers Family Fest, brought to you by Neighborhood Ford Store and SiriusXM. Check out Steelers.com for more.
Welcome back to Steelers Live. Earlier today, Coach Tomlin addressed the media for the last time before Thursday's preseason opener. He discussed a variety of topics from the new rule changes to the Steelers quarterbacks. Here's what he had to say.
And what we want to see are the things that we've really emphasized in competitive situations here in Latrobe. Fundamental things. We want to see good pad level. We want to see good hand usage. We want to see good tackling. We want to see good ball security on the offensive side. We want to see good ball awareness on the defensive side. We want to see guys display an understanding of the rule changes, particularly in special teams and the point of emphasis. We spent quite a bit of time working in those areas. If we kind of show solid effort in those areas, I think it'll be a pleasing performance. you know, even the day that we had officials, it wasn't a full crew. So the perspective on the play of the 22 men is not as thorough as it is in stadium. The only real opportunity that you get at that is in stadium and in preseason games. So that's one of the many reasons why I say that the preseason games are weighted differently. The cleanliness of your play, the fundamental approach that you take, your hand usage in terms of being clean, will be highlighted more so in stadium than it is out here. That is our intentions, yes. But again, I've said that to you before, and game circumstances play out a little bit differently. So I'm just being as transparent as I can with you guys. That is our intentions. You know, Mason's done a really good job. But again, he hadn't been hit. You know, there will be attempts to hit him on Thursday night. So stay tuned, man. That's another one of the reasons why this is weighted differently. You know, an offense's ability to maintain possession of the ball, or ball security, is much more difficult in stadium than it is in a training camp environment.
Bob Labriola joins me now for more on the preseason opener.
Yeah, we heard Mike Tomlin talking about some of his expectations in terms of, you know, what he would like to see. And, you know, we need to remember that this is a preseason opener, the first of 4, and it really doesn't matter. You know, the Steelers in this particular game on Thursday night are going to be playing the defending Super Bowl champions, but really it doesn't matter in a preseason opener, you know, who the opponent is. There's no game planning done. There's no scheming done in order to try and maybe help guys look good in certain situations. You know, in fact, oftentimes, I won't say there is a goal to attain this, but there isn't necessarily a problem with putting guys maybe in some bad spots just to see how they're going to react to them. I mean, you know, the goal for the preseason opener, I think, primarily is to determine which guys belong in the league. You know, we've seen that to some degree here during the last couple of weeks here at St. Vincent College, but it's only been in a practice setting. Now things ramp up a little bit. You're going into an NFL stadium with real NFL officials. There's a play clock. There's a game clock. All of these things now make it very, very real for a lot of these guys. And the coaching staff wants to see, you know, who can handle it and who can't. Because quite frankly, we're not going to be seeing the frontline players for very much, if at all. And so in this preseason opener, you're going to be seeing a lot of young guys, and they're going to really be getting their first exposure to NFL football. And that's why, you know, we heard Mike Tomlin in that soundbite talking about, you know, pad level and hand usage, you know, and things like that. There's a lot of other things too, you know, getting plays off in time, the 25-second clock, communicating things from the sideline onto the field of play, and then once they're on the field of play, communicating them to the other guys in the huddle. You know, there's new rules here. There's a lot made of the new leading with the helmet rule and the new kickoff rule. Yes, those are going to be things that guys have to adjust to, but there's also other rules that are different from the way they played the game in college. Will we see a receiver who catches the ball, goes to the ground without being touched? Does he know he can get up and run, or is he kind of brain cramped into playing it as he did in college and he gives himself up? There's going to be a lot of emphasis on special teams. One of the ways, if you're trying to make this team, one of the ways you can catch the coach's eye in a positive way is if you understand and are productive on special teams. Do you run under the punt and make the tackle? Do you run under the kickoff and make the tackle? Do you know the rules? Do you know that you can't run out of bounds on purpose and come in and be the first person to touch the football? Do you know you can't run out of bounds on purpose or block someone flip it around on the other side? You can't block someone who is out of bounds. You don't want to be the guy who forces your team to re-kick the ball, either on a punt or a kickoff. And these are some of the things that are going to be evaluated in this game. And the way that this happens is, Mike Tomlin refers to it as, you know, like there's a third team here because there's 90 players. You've got your first unit, your second unit, your third unit. Well, once you get to the NFL regular season, there is no third unit. So if you're on a third unit now and you're not doing enough good things to advance from, as they refer to it, JV to varsity, then you're really hurting yourself in terms of trying to make the team. We also saw, as we expected, that Ben Roethlisberger will not play against the Eagles. Now that's good in my mind for two reasons. Number one, primarily the safety issue. You do not want to lose your franchise quarterback to an injury in the preseason opener, whether it's a significant injury that would keep him out for a long time or something that would be nagging, that would limit his progress, kind of maybe set him back a little bit. You don't want any of that. And then the other thing that makes this interesting to me, Ben not playing, is you got three other guys this time that you're interested in seeing, and the third guy is a third-round draft pick that may or may not be the heir apparent to the franchise quarterback you currently have. And we understand that Josh Dobbs, the way things look right now, Josh Dobbs would seem to have a steep uphill climb to break into the top three, because Kevin Colbert has already said the Steelers will not keep 4 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. Landry Jones, I would say, although you can never really say this for certain, but I would say pretty much Landry Jones is a lock as the backup based on what we have seen from him so far in this camp. And so you're kind of looking at a competition between Josh Dobbs and Mason Rudolph for that last spot on the depth chart at quarterback. Mason Rudolph, in his first NFL action, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles some things. Mike Tomlin mentioned in that soundbite, this will be the first time he's ever been threatened by physical violence while standing in the pass pocket. That is certainly something worth noting. Here's another thing that is, fans take for granted. Can Mason Rudolph take the call in his helmet from Randy Fichtner, understand what it is, and communicate it to the guys in the huddle, then get them from the huddle to the line of scrimmage, line them up, and call whatever needs to be called, whatever shifts need to be made, and get the snap off before it's a delay of game. I mean, this is not an insignificant thing. We have come to take it for granted, fans of NFL football, because it just happens so regularly and so consistently. But for a new guy, that's an issue, especially a new guy who didn't have to do that a lot in college. It was a lot of shotgun snap, getting the play call from the sideline. Everybody got the play call from the sideline as opposed to one guy who had to communicate it. And so, this is another thing. It might seem minor to fans, but these are the things that coaches are looking to evaluate, particularly in this preseason opener. And then they'll take what they saw in this game. Maybe they move some guys up from the JV to the varsity. Maybe some guys move from the varsity to the JV, and then they do it again the following week in Green Bay. So, it's really a process, and as Mike Tomlin was talking about, if his quote was, if we kind of show solid effort in those areas, I think it will be a pleasing performance. So these are games that you always want to win, but if you don't, it's not necessarily the end of the world, as it will be starting September the 9th. In conclusion here, for a couple of housekeeping items, this will be we will not have another Steelers Live until Sunday. However, you can stay tuned to Steelers.com consistently from now until then. We'll have a lot of coverage of the game from Philadelphia and all of those kinds of things. And here's a little side note to fans. The team is off on Friday. Players are off Friday. So that means there are only 4 practices open to the public left: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So if you haven't had a chance to get up here yet, those are your last 4 opportunities.
Time to get to Latrobe, huh?
Yes, get on Route 30 really right now. You don't want to be late.
All right, thanks so much, Labs. For Steelers Nation Unite members, today's keyword is training. So head over to SteelersNationUnite.com, enter the keyword training by the end of the day today to get your yards. And that's going to wrap it up for us. Stay with Steelers.com over the next few days for coverage from Philadelphia. Thanks so much for joining us.